What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. As always, I thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for rocking with me all this time. Thank you for going from the ZamboniFunk.com, where you can find a plethora of activities. You can find music to listen to. There's a podcast to listen to. There's dope ass merch with the covers of the music. I went in on these covers. I found artists who I really loved and paid them handsomely to make excellent artwork to represent the art that the musical art that I have created. So please go and check that out. You can also get astrology readings there. Obviously, you can get a 10-minute reading. Those are the most popular and kind of most fun in some ways. It's in the format of these weeklies, and so I'll look at your chart and we can just take a look at whatever's going on for you and make things. And so that's sort of like cheap and simple and easy for us to figure out how to do. So go to ZamboniFunk.com. There's plenty of options there. Cool stuff you can get. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week we have a couple of significant things going on here that are, you know, we're starting to see some rumblings, some shaking, some things, some movements, some shaking, some things that are happening out here that maybe want to upend or displace the order as we currently understand it. So let's think about that for a second. So the first thing that we see here is Venus is moving out of Cancer and into Leo. You know, I love me some Venus in Cancer. Maybe that's because I have the rising in Cancer, and so I like to see benefics on my shit. Maybe that's what's going on. But to see Venus moving from Cancer into Leo, you know, I also kind of like Venus and Leo. I think Venus and Leo is cute, is able to do a lot of sort of like exciting things. The last time we saw Venus and Leo, we had a big Venus retrograde. That was the summer of Barbenheimer and all that, right? So this is going to maybe revisit some of those Venus and Leo things. Venus and Leo is going to be sort of like splashy and dramatic. We thought a lot about Barbie at that time, right? The sort of like, and not just Barbie, but the kind of like glam aesthetic, right? That Venus and Leo really likes. And so there might be something here to work with when it comes to glam, or, you know, I've been talking a lot about piracy and sort of sweetening those who could be around you. And a good way to do that is to just be so cute that they can't resist it, right? That is a strong option. And Venus and Leo is really good at that kind of thing. Now, what's interesting here about this Venus and Leo, especially at the beginning of our Venus and Leo transit, is that Venus is on entering Leo is going to immediately oppose Pluto in Aquarius, right? So that is a vibe. You know, Pluto's the planet of the shadowy underworld, and we see a lot of power dynamics and plutocracy, right? So like the idea here is like moneyed interests that are so wealthy as to make Leonardo DiCaprio seem broke. Like that kind of like ridiculous wealth that's actually pulling strings. That's what we're thinking about when we're thinking about Pluto, right? So, you know, like Warren Buffett has, I think, a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction in his chart, this kind of thing, right? Like absurd. So a lot of times when we think about Pluto, we can think about power dynamics. And, you know, like Pluto is the god of the underworld, right? And also the space that is the underworld, right? Pluto, Hades, it's this idea of like, there is great power that is held within the space that is rotting and dead things and stuff like that. And it's the kind of power that isn't often acknowledged by the kind of like above ground types, right? It's like a little uglier than we like to look at and this kind of thing, right? So to see Venus in Leo making this opposition to Pluto does look like an opportunity for glam that then is also spun into a way to take power, or to maybe, especially if we're thinking about Pluto kind of power, then maybe it's sort of like, you know, maybe like termites or something like that, right? So the idea with termites is that you don't know that they have destroyed the structures and the foundations of your home until it's too late, because they've weakened things from the inside. There's like a kind of like rotting from the inside that'll happen that then goes on to collapse the structure that looked like it was fine on the outside. So that seems like an important move here, especially since we can notice that Venus in Leo is also ruling the Taurus stuff. Now let's think about what's going on in Taurus. We got Mars currently in Taurus, and we've got Uranus there in Taurus. We're not going to see the conjunction between the two of them until Monday next week, but throughout this week, we're going to see Mars getting closer and closer to that conjunction with Uranus. Now, Uranus in Taurus, Uranus is the planet of surprises and disruptions and things coming from left field and out of the blue and all this sort of stuff. A lot of times I think of Uranus as breakups, breakdowns, breakthroughs, also break free. Uranus cares a lot about liberation and this kind of thing. A lot of times Uranus will be like anywhere but here, anything but this. I'm going to break this established pattern because this is so repressive and annoying to me that I kind of don't care what else there is, right? There's that kind of idea going on here. So, and then we add Mars to that. And Mars is going to be like, so if Uranus, because Uranus moves pretty slow, right? Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. And so is still working its way through that sign. We're gonna see a change in a couple of years here, but the idea is that, so there's 7 years of Uranus in a sign, and so there's a lot that can happen during that time. And then whenever we see outer planets, then when we see faster moving planets come in and make a conjunction, in this case, Mars is going to conjoin Uranus, then that's going to set the thing off. And that's going to sort of like act as the trigger to whatever Uranus has been sort of working on for this longer stretch of time. With Uranus and Taurus, we're going to be looking at disrupting established patterns. We're going to be looking at disrupting the Taurus things, the things that are sort of like stable and that you need to continue for your comfort and safety and this kind of thing, right? So labor. There have been a lot of labor strikes and protests and this kind of thing. We've seen like farmers' protests in Europe throughout this time. Also, the very shape of the land. When Uranus first moved into Taurus, then we saw volcanic eruptions and this kind of thing. So this kind of stuff, food prices, prices of cattle, and also beef and that sort of thing. Like that's the domain of Taurus, right? So to see Mars coming in for this conjunction looks like a moment where it really wants to blow things up in some kind of way, some disruptive, break up, break down, break through, break free kind of way, right? Whatever Uranus and Taurus has been trying to break out of. GameStop, remember GameStop, like blowing up the stock market exchange? That was associated with Uranus and Taurus. That kind of dynamic looks like it wants to pop off here. And because it's ruled by Venus in Leo, who is opposite to Pluto in Aquarius, it looks like some kind of major power move, power play wants to take place at the same time. Now, what's really interesting about this is that at the same time as this, we can also see that the sun in Cancer is going to make a trine to Saturn in Pisces. So the sun being the kind of figurehead, the emperor, the king, the sovereign, this kind of thing. And Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is going to be like the authority, the management structure, right? Like not the figurehead, but the thing that actually manages what we do here, boots on the ground, this kind of thing. So to see those making a trine to one another, a trine is a supportive and helpful kind of aspect. It looks like the sun and Saturn want to be of an accord here. They want to work together in some kind of way. So this looks like figureheads and famous faces working alongside the establishment, possibly to create a narrative or to generate some kind of informational network that would spin a tale that is useful to power structures or those who are in the elite classes, this kind of thing. This looks like a really good time for that sort of thing. But at the same time, we see massive disruptions going on, and maybe some of that power structure being eaten out from the being disrupted from the inside. I don't know. Look, Venus Pluto might get into that kind of thing as well. Like Venus is always going to be down for these kind of things, and whenever we see that like Venus retrograde or Venus associated with the underworld, things can definitely get sexy in that space. So like, if that's what's going on for you, I love that for you. On the wider scale, I would guess that you know, that power, major disruptions in the way that power can operate is indicated here. And also seeing this Mercury and Leo making a square to that Mars, I bet that there's a lot of talking that takes place here. So much to say about it. If you want to hear more, go get a reading, zambonifong.com.